I was muted this whole time. I was muted this whole time. Oh, that's so funny. I don't know why. So I yapped for like 4 minutes about how life was going, and okay. Well, anyways, to catch everyone up on what happened, I basically just said, welcome in, guys. I'm tired as hell. I think I'm entering another depressive episode. My cocktail of mental illnesses is really starting to get to me. Damien is a painting now that Sinclair really likes. I can't believe... Did I like accidentally hit my toggle? I might have accidentally hit my toggle at some point. At some point before this. I don't know why I was muted. I don't know why I got the sudden instinct to go, wait, am I muted? So that's funny. Well, fun way to start the morning, I guess. I'm not necessarily more awake because of it, but it was a way. Anyways, chapter 5. This is where we meet Pistorius, if I remember correctly. I don't really remember what else happens in this chapter. I think this might have been like the chapter I stopped at when I read the book, which is kind of like funny, because now here we are again after 5 weeks. After 5 weeks of reading the book, 6 weeks I think, because I think I skipped a week. But yay, that's besides the point. We're gonna start now. Chapter 5. The bird fights its way out of the egg. My painted dream bird was on its way, searching out my friend. An answer came to me in the most curious manner. In my classroom in school, I found at my desk, in the interval between 2 lessons, a piece of paper slipped between the pages of my book. It was folded in the manner we used for passing notes to one another in class. I wondered who could have sent me such a note, as I was not so intimate with any of the boys that one of them should wish to write to me. I thought it was a summons to participate in some school rag or other, in which, however, I should not have taken part, and I replaced the note unopened in my book. During the lesson, it fell by chance into my hands again. I toyed with the paper, unfolded it without thinking, and discovered a few words written thereon. I threw a glance at the writing. One word riveted my attention. Terrified, I read on, while my heart seemed to become numb with a sense of destiny. The bird fights its way out of the egg. The egg is the world. Whoever will be born must destroy a world. The bird flies to God. The name of the god is Abraxas. I sank into deep meditation after I had read the words several times. It admitted of no doubt. This was Damien's answer. None could know of the bird except our 2 selves. He had received my picture. He had understood and helped me to explain its significance. But where was the connection in all this? And, what worried me above all, what did Abraxas mean? I had never read or heard of the word. The name of the god is Abraxas. The hour passed without my hearing anything of the lesson. The next lesson began, the last of the morning. It was taken by quite a young assistant master, fresh from the university, to whom we had already taken a liking, because he was young and pretended no false dignity with us. They said the thing about birds and gods and the bird and the egg. Oh my god, the Sinclair, like Limbus Company, no. The hour passed without my hearing anything of the lesson. Okay, the young Mr. Guy. We were reading Herodotus under Dr. Fallen's guidance. This was one of the few school subjects which interested me. But this time, my attention wandered. I had mechanically flung open my book, but I did not follow the translation and remained lost in thought. For the rest, I had already several times had the experience that what Damien had said to me in the confirmation class was right. If you willed a thing strongly enough, it happened. If during the lesson I was deeply immersed in thought, I need not fear that the master would disturb my peace. Certainly, if you were absent-minded or sleepy, then he stood suddenly there. That had already happened to me several times. But if you were really thinking, if you were genuinely sunk in thought, then you were safe. And I had already put to the test what he had said to me about fixing a person with one's eyes. When at school with Damien, I had never been successful in this attempt, but now I had often realized that you could accomplish much simply by fixed look and deep thinking. I'm like stumbling over every word today. Sinclair cracked the egg. I don't care if it's becoming a snake, bird, god, creature of god, creature of estrogen. Yeah, egg, alright. Like, or estrogen. He. See, I feel like creature of estrogen works just as well in this case, just because Abraxas, also hi creator, yes. We're talking about Sinclair going on estrogen, I guess. you know, finally break that egg. You know, you know what I mean? Wink. Happy Pride Month. So I was sitting now, my thoughts far from Herodotus in school, but the master's voice unexpectedly fell on my consciousness like a thunder crash, so that I started with fright. I listened to his voice. He was standing quite close to me. I thought he had already called me by name, but he did not look at me. I breathed a sigh of relief. Then I heard his voice again. Loudly the word Abraxas fell from his lips. Continuing his explanation, the beginning of which had escaped me, Dr. Fallen said, "We must not imagine the ideas of those sects and mystical corporations of antiquity to be as naive as they appear from the standpoint of a rationalistic outlook." What is that on your desk? Oh, you know, just censored, just, nothing. I could go the rest of the stream with this on my eyes, if you guys wanted me to. I was gonna make a really self-deprecating joke, and then I realized that probably would not be a good thing. Hello, oh my god, your cover was so good, thank you! We worked really hard on it. Like, Mimi, like, did so good on the coloring, guys. Oh my god. And her vocals, oh my god. If you guys, censored Rena ego, imagine. I'm like, it's kind of like lopsided, wait. There we go. That's less lopsided. Good job, guys. We censored my face. Abraxas, appear in Sinclair's second canto, and my life is yours. It's probably gonna imagine it appears as like some kind of little item for him. Imagine. So you're giving your life to some funny little Sinclair item. I'm curious how they're going to make Pistorius appear, is what I'm wondering. Because unless they're gonna like use another character as a stand-in for Pistorius, but he's like a named character, so who knows? Now your safety is guaranteed on the internet. Yay! Oh my gosh, internet safety! That's not gonna get rid of all the times I've accidentally docked myself, but that's okay. Rationalistic outlook. Antiquity knew absolutely nothing of science in our sense of the word. Where am I? On the other hand, more attention was paid to truths of a philosophical, mystical nature, which often attained to a very high stage of development. Magic in part arose therefrom, and often led to fraud and crime. But nonetheless, magic had a noble origin and was inspired by deep thought. So it was with the teachings of Abraxas, which I have just cited as an example. This name is used in connection with Greek charm formulas. Many opinions coincide in thinking it is the name of some demon of magic, such as some savage people worship today. But it appears that Abraxas had a much wider significance. We can imagine the name to be that of a divinity on whom the symbolical task is imposed of uniting the divine and the diabolical. The learned little man, that's crazy words to call your professor, Sinclair. Doxing yourself? I would never. Must be nice. I do that all the time. On specifically Irium. It's bad. It's bad on Irium. I have to like train myself to stop talking about where I live. It's so bad. The funny little guy who knows a lot. This is whack coming from Sinclair, who is not canonically I don't know how tall he is in this. It doesn't particularly say he's tall or not. He just kind of says he has a little mustache and glasses. Yeah, make it that I can't download. I know, I'm so sorry, everyone. There's the cons of streaming at 8 AM. I've honestly been thinking about changing my streaming times just so I have like more time to sleep and like get myself adjusted, but then I was like, then I would lose like everybody. So I don't know, but I'm getting kind of burnt out. I'm not gonna lie. Hello, welcome in. But like when I was thinking like, what's it called? I don't know. That's the thing, because I got used to streaming at 8 AM and my afternoons end up kind of busy, that full on, it probably would just be like another like 2 hours shoved forward, but is that even like really worth it at that point? Sarah the table, looks like someone else's hands are holding up the book. Who's under the table right now? What are they doing there? Fine, I'll adjust my do. There we go. I'm often changing my sleep schedule to catch your streams, to be honest. Don't do that. Don't do that. It's, like, keep your sleep schedules. Those are important. There's, like, still, like, eye crusties in my eyes. It's bad. Like, I was honestly just full on thinking about, like, 10 or 11 a.m. just because that seems to be when most people stream, though, is the thing. The skin color is different, thus we can only conclude Reginald is there. Oh no! You guys caught me. It's actually Reginald holding the book under there. Good thing they can't see that because they're censored. No, guys, what? It is the same color. What are you guys talking about? It's definitely the same color. I'm a terrible gaslighter. I am a terrible gaslighter. I cannot manipulate people through gaslighting. I can manipulate people through other means, but not gaslighting. Just make them feel constantly bad about me. No. Run up the bell, reveal what is below the table. It is absolutely nothing. It is, wait, where is, okay. It's a chair! Look, it's a chair. Also, hi guys, it's me. You can see my face again, it's not censored anymore. Okay. There we go. Reveal the Reginald, they shoot me before I start a chant. Okay, fine. But I'm not doing the voice. I'm not quite in the mood to do the voice, to be honest. But we could pull out the la 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 la. Here she is. Actually, it doesn't work out because she has, what's it called? She has like sleeves. You know, it doesn't quite work out. How far are we? We are not very far at all. We're getting super distracted by who knows what. We've pulled out the Reginald model. Reginald, what were you doing under Rena's desk? Oh, you know. Just, you know. Can I reveal channel points while the stream is off? Oh my god, it's the guy. Oh my gosh. We're getting so distracted. Okay. The learned little man. Light said woman. The learned little man continued his discourse with much seriousness. No one was very attentive, and as the name did not recur, I was soon immersed in my own thoughts again. To unite the divine and the diabolical rang in my ears. Here is the starting point. I was familiar with the idea from my conversations with Damien in the very last period of our friendship. Damien told me then we had indeed a god whom we revered, but the god represented part of the world only, the half which was arbitrarily separated from the rest. It was the official, permitted, bright world, but one should be able to hold the whole world in honor. One should either have a god who is at the same time a devil, or one should institute devil worship together with worship of God. Oh my god. Why? Not that far. Why does it say page 119? We do a chapter a week. So we are on chapter 5. We're not super far into chapter 5, basically. Can't believe Reginald is helping Rana say apologize is his famous catchphrase. Here comes justice! I for real can't. I'm struggling to do her voice today. But it's okay. Reginald is the platypus controlling Rana. Yeah, for the rest, we do have the other streams archived. I do have a playlist of the streams, but I have a lot of playlists, so you might need to look that up. But we do have every single chapter, like one chapter a week, because it's convenient. You don't need to do the voice if you don't want to. Thank you. Thank you. Devil worship together with worship of God, and now Abraxas was the god who was at the same time god and devil. For a long time, I zealously sought to follow up the trail of ideas farther, without success. In addition, I rummaged through a whole library to find out more about Abraxas, but in vain. However, it was not my nature to concentrate my energies on a methodical search after knowledge, a search which would reveal truth of a dead, useless documentary kind. The figure of Beatrice, which had for a certain time occupied so much of my attention, vanished by degrees from my mind, or rather receded slowly, drawing nearer and nearer to the horizon, becoming paler, more like a shadow as it retreated. She satisfied my soul no longer. A new spiritual development now began to take place in the dreamy existence I led, this existence in which I was strangely wrapped up in myself. The longing for a full life glowed in me, or rather the longing for love. The sex instinct, which for a time had been merged into my worship of Beatrice, required new pictures and aims. Fulfillment was denied me, and it was more impossible than ever for me to delude myself by expecting anything of the girls who seemed to have the happiness of my comrades in their keeping. I again dreamed vividly, even more by day than by night. Images presented themselves to me. Desires in the shapes of pictures rose up in my imagination, withdrawing me from the outside world, so that my relations with these pictures, with these dreams and shadows, were more real and more intimate than with my actual surroundings. A certain dream, or play of fantasy, which recurred to me, was full of significance. This dream, the most important and the most enduring of my life, was as follows. I returned home. Over the front door shone the crest of the yellow bird on the blue ground. My mother came to meet me, but as I entered and wished to embrace her, it was not she, but a shape I had never seen, tall and powerful, resembling Max Damien in my painting, yet different, and quite womanly in spite of its size. This figure drew me towards it, and held me in a quivering, passionate embrace. Rapture and horror were mixed, and the embrace was a sort of divine worship, and yet a crime as well. Too much of the memory of my mother, too much of the memory of Max Damien was contained in the form which embraced me. The embrace seemed repulsive to my sentiment of reverence, yet I felt happy. I often awoke out of this dream with a deep feeling of contentment, often with the fear of death and a tormenting conscience as if I were guilty of a terrible sin. What the? I think I just lost SP to seeing censored. Oh no! I guess we're gonna have to uncensored Reginald's face. Oops, that's Reginald herself. Oopsie, we're gonna replace the what's it called? We're gonna go back to figurine mode. I forgot that we had them like that. Whoops. Let's now it looks like bro's on top of Damien. Okay. Let's put that over here. Here we go. The figures, they're back. The figurines, they're back. Yay. Why was I laying on Cromer? You were actually laying on Damien. I just realized that Reginald's ears are getting cut off. Whoopsie. There we go. They're back. Kind of. Hello, I'm here. Welcome in, guys. You were laying on top of Damien. Oh, Blue Boy didn't see him. Yeah. He was covered. Actually, Cromer was the original censored. Cromer was the original censor behind the guys. I should probably change my model back. I'm gonna do that. La 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 la. Okay, we're back. Is Reginald also they them? I didn't know. Reginald is cisgender. Reginald is completely 100% female. Reginald doesn't involve herself with the woke crowd. She's just built different. And by built different I mean she's cis. She's not normal. Anyways, where was I? I often woke out of this dream with a deep feeling of contentment, often with the fear of death and tormenting conscience as if I were guilty of a terrible sin. Okay. It was only gradually and unconsciously that I realized the connection between this mental picture and the hint which had come to me from the outside concerning the god of whom I was in search. However, this connection became closer and more intimate, and I began to feel that precisely this dream, this presentiment, I was invoking in praxis. Rapture and horror, man and woman, the most sacred things and the most abominable interwoven, the darkest guilt with the most tender innocence, such was the dream picture of my love. Such was also Abraxas. Love was no longer a dark animal impulse, as I had felt with considerable anxiety in the beginning. Neither was it a pious, spiritualized form of worship any longer, such as I had bestowed upon the picture of Beatrice. It was both and yet much more. It was the image of an angel and of Satan, man and woman in one, human being and animal, the highest good and lowest evil. It was my destiny. It seemed that I should experience this in my own life. I longed for it and was afraid of it. I followed it in my dreams and took to flight before it, but it was always there. It was always standing before me. Over me. The next spring, I was to leave school and go to some university to study, where and what I knew not. A small mustache grew on my lip. I was a grown man, and yet completely hopeless and aimless. Only one thing was firm. The voice in me, the dream picture. I felt it my duty to follow this guidance blindly, but it was difficult, and daily I was on the point of revolting. Perhaps I was mad, I often used to think. Perhaps I was not as other men, but I could do everything the others did. With a little pains and industry, I could read Plato. I could solve trigonometric. My internet. Sorry guys, my internet is like actually like really messed up today for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know why it's doing that today. It was fine like yesterday and last night. Okay. Okay. Are we back for real this time? Please. If it doesn't stay at this level, I will cry. I will start screaming. Please don't dip below 2,000 kilobytes per second. Okay. Are we back? Are we back? Are we not lagging? Are we hopefully alive? Okay, it seems like we're back for now. I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to jinx it. But we seem to be okay for now. We might be back. We might be back. Question mark. Okay. They knew a career to follow and what advantages they would gain by it. But I was not like that. Perhaps I would be like them someday, but how was I to know? Perhaps I should have to seek and seek for years, and would make nothing of myself, would attain no end. Perhaps I should attain an end, but it might be wicked, dangerous, terrible. I wanted only to try to live in obedience to the promptings which came from my true self. Why was that so very difficult? I often made the attempt to paint the powerful love figure of my dream, but I never succeeded. If I had been successful, I would have sent the picture to Damien. Where was he? I knew not. I only knew there was a bond of union between us. When should I see him again? Bro is yearning. The pleasant tranquility of those weeks and months of the Beatrice period was long since gone. I thought at the time that I had reached a haven and had found peace. But it was ever so. Scarcely did I begin to adapt myself to circumstances. Scarcely had a dream done me good, when it faded again. In vain to complain. I now lived in a fire of unstilled desires, of tense expectations, of... Yes, I did. For some reason I read that as terse, and I was like, did I say that right? Which often rendered me completely wild and mad. I frequently saw before me the picture of my dream mistress, with extraordinary clearness, much more clearly than I saw my own hand. I spoke to it, wept over it, cursed it. I called it mother and knelt before it in tears. I called it my beloved and felt its ripe kiss of fulfilled desire. I called it devil and whore, vampire and murderer. It invited me to the tenderest dreams of love and to the most horrible abominations. Nothing was too good and precious for it, nothing too bad and vile. I passed the whole of that winter in a state of inward tumult difficult to describe. I had long been accustomed to loneliness. That did not depress me. I lived with Damien, with the hawk, with my picture of the big dream figure, which was my fate and my mistress. It sufficed to live in close communion with these things, since they opened up a large and broad perspective leading to Abraxas. But I was not able to summon up these dreams, these thoughts at will. I could not invest them in colors as I pleased. They came of themselves, taking possession of me, governing me and shaping my life. I was secure insofar as the outside world was concerned. OBS! OBS working! Excuse me. He writes about hard enough as if loop makes you become peak. Whoa. Have we returned? I don't know why it's lagging so bad today. I'm so sorry, guys. If it means anything, we are like halfway there, I think, from what I remember checking earlier. So hopefully, it loops back. Okay, that's what I deduce from listening to this. Kind of. I don't know. Sinclair's just kind of constantly going through it this entire book. So we just try to keep up with his ongoings. Sometimes as I wandered through the streets in the evening and could not, through restlessness, return home before midnight, I thought to myself, now I cannot fail to meet my beloved. I shall overtake her at the next corner. She will call to me from the next window. Sometimes all this seemed to torture me unbearably, and I was quite prepared to take my own life someday. At that time, I found a peculiar refuge, by chance, as one says, but really such happenings cannot be attributed to chance. When a person is in need of something, and the necessary happens, this is not due to chance, but to himself. His own desire leads him compellingly to the object of which he stands in need. 2 or 3 times during my wanderings through the streets, I had heard the strains of an organ coming from a little church in the suburbs, without, however, stopping to listen. The next time I passed by the church, I heard it again, and recognized that Bach was being played. I went to the door, which I found to be locked. As the street was practically empty, I sat down on a curbstone close to the church, turned up with the collar of my coat, and listened. It was not a large organ, but a good one nevertheless. Oh my god. Whoever was played wonderfully well, almost like a virtuoso, but with a peculiar, highly personal expression of will and perseverance, which seemed to make the music ring out like a prayer. I had the feeling that the man who was playing knew a treasure was shut up in the music, and he struggled and tapped and knocked to get at the treasure, as if his life depended on his finding it. In the technical sense, I did not understand very much about music, but this form of the soul's expression I have from my childhood intuitively understood. I feel music is something which I can comprehend without initiation. I'm like struggling to read the words right now. Maybe if I like clean my glasses or something. Hold on a second. Okay. There we go. And then maybe I just needed to hydrate it. Who knows? Maybe I just need to like figure out why I keep stuttering all the time. Maybe it's like a whole other problem entirely. Evening, hello! Welcome in. We are halfway through the chapter, I believe. Yeah, if history taught us anything, it's if you double down hard enough, you'll create such a creation that cannot be described other than mind-blowing. So true. They literally do this with Clotel. Fun fact, Clotel, like, the book Clotel was like up to, I think, 40%, 30% plagiarized, but it was such masterful plagiarization that people were like, actually, this is kind of mind-blowing that how well you plagiarized this book. Oh boy, it's literature time. Yes. What is Clotel? Clotel is a book by, I forgot who. I know he was really important. He was really important to the abolitionist movement, but I genuinely forgot who. Like, the name is not coming to me. Basically, it's the story of like this slave girl who is also like the like child of like the U.S. president. It's supposed to point out the hypocrisy of like just in general like slavery at the time. Honestly, it was kind of boring. The plot itself was like okay. I'm not one for like 1850s literature apparently. Past the 1850s is when I find things get like interesting plot wise, but like a lot of the stuff from the 1850s generally follow the same plot line and messages, which is like not a bad thing because I get it, because I get the point. The first thing that came up from Google is a toilet. Hold on, look up like the book. Let me look it up for you guys. Clotel or the President's Daughter by William Wells Brown. There we go. Yeah. It's history is the plot of one giant yaoi. It could be. That's definitely one way to view history. I can feel music as something which I can comprehend without initiation. The organist next played something modern. It might have been Reger. I don't know if I'm saying that right. The church was almost completely dark. Only a very narrow beam of light shone through the window nearest to me. I waited until the end, and then walked up and down till the organist came out. He was still a young man, though older than myself, robust and thick-set. He walked quietly, quickly, oh my god, taking powerful strides, but as if forcing the pace against his will. Many an evening thereafter, I sat before the church, or walked up and down. Once I found the door open, and for half an hour I sat shivering and happy inside, while the organist played in the organ loft by the dim gaslight. Of the music he played, I heard not only what he himself put into it. There seemed also to be a secret coherence in his repertory. Each piece seemed to be the continuation of the one preceding. Everything he played was pious, expressing faith and devotion, but not pious like churchgoers and clergymen, but like pilgrims and beggars of the Middle Ages, pious with a reckless surrender to a world feeling, which was superior to all confessions of faith. He frequently played music by the pre-Bach composers and old Italian music, and all the pieces said the same thing, all expressed what the musician had in his soul, longing, a longing to identify oneself with the world and to tear oneself free again, listening to the workings of one's own dark soul, an orgy of devotion and lively curiosity of the wonderful. Yeah, it's Sinclair's, it's like Canto 3 Story Theme 1, I believe it's just called. I can like look at it right now. Yeah, Sinclair Story Theme 1, actually, yeah. Go back to the tab. I once secretly followed the organist as he left the church. He continued his way to the outskirts of the town and entered a little tavern. I could not resist the temptation to go in after him. For the first time What do you mean disconnected again, guys? Are we not lagging anymore? I don't know why it's so laggy today. This is kind of crazy. I'm not gonna lie. If I knew this would happen, I would have like moved stream back. But it's not as bad as that one time. Sorry. It's not as bad as that one time where it was like full on happening every like 2 seconds. But it is kind of getting to a suspicious point. I'm not even gonna lie. But we do have like 10 pages left, so hopefully we make it through. Black felt hat on his head, a measure of wine before him, and his face was just as I expected it to be. It was ugly and somewhat uncouth, with the look of a seeker and of an eccentric, obstinate, and strong-willed, with a soft and childish mouth. Bro just said he's ugly. That's a very straightforward description. The expression of what was strong and manly lay in the eyes and forehead. On the lower half of the face had a look of gentleness and immaturity, rather effeminate and showing a lack of self-mastery. The chin indicated a boyish indecision, as if in contradiction with the eyes and forehead. I liked the dark brown eyes, full of pride and hostility. Silently, I took my place opposite him. There was no one else in the tavern. He glared at me, as if he wished to chase me away. Nevertheless, I maintained my position, looking at him unflinchingly, until at last he growled testily. "What the deuce are you staring at me for? Do you want anything of me?" "I don't want anything," I said. "You have already given me much." He wrinkled his forehead. "Ah, you're a music enthusiast, are you? I think it's disgusting to go mad over music." I did not let myself be intimidated. "I have so often listened to your playing there in the church," I said. "But I don't want to bother you. I thought perhaps I should discover something in you, something special. I don't know exactly what, but please don't mind me. I can listen to you in the church." "Why? I always lock the door. Just lately you forgot, and I sat inside. Otherwise, I stand outside or sit on the curbstone." "Is that so? Another time you can come inside. It's warmer. You simply got to knock on the door, but loudly and not while I'm playing. Now, what did you want to say? But you're quite young, apparently a schoolboy or student. Are you a musician?" "No. I like music, but only the kind you play, absolute music, where one feels that someone is trying to fathom heaven and hell. I like music so much, I think, because it is not concerned with morals. Everything else is a question of morals, and I am looking for something different. Whatever has been concerned with morals has caused me only suffering. I don't express myself properly. Do you know that there must be a God who is at the same time God and devil? There must have been one, I have heard so." The organist pushed back his broad hat and shook the dark hair from his forehead. He looked at me penetratingly and bent forward his face towards me over the table. Softly and tensely he questioned, "What's the name of the God of whom you are talking?" "Unfortunately, I know practically nothing about him, really, only his name. His name is Abraxas." The musician looked distrustfully around, as if someone might be eavesdropping. Then he bent towards me and said in a whisper, "I thought so. Who are you?" "I'm a student from the school." "How do you know about Abraxas?" "By chance." He thumped on the table so that his wine spilled over. "Chance? Don't talk nonsense, young man. One doesn't know of Abraxas by chance, mark you. I will tell you something more of him. I know a little about him." He ceased talking and pushed back his chair. I looked at him expectantly. He made a grimace. "Not here. Another time. There, take these." He dug his hand into the pocket of his overcoat, which he had not taken off, and pulled out a couple of roasted chestnuts, which he threw to me. I said nothing. I took and ate them, and was very contented. "Well," he whispered after a while, "how do you know about him?" I did not hesitate to tell him. "I was lonely and perplexed," I related. I called to mind a friend of former years who, I think, knows a great deal. I had painted something. A bird coming out of a terrestrial globe. I sent this to him. After a time, when I had begun to lose hope of a reply, a piece of paper fell into my hands. On it was written, "The bird fights its way out of the egg. The egg is the world. Whoever will be born must destroy a world. The bird flies to God. The name of the God is Abraxas." He answered nothing. We peeled our chestnuts and ate them, and drank our wine. "So we have another drink?" he asked. "Thanks. No, I don't care much for drinking." He laughed, somewhat disappointedly. "As you wish. I am different. I am staying here. You can go now." The next time I saw him after the organ recital, he was not very communicative. He conducted me through an old street to an old, stately house, and upstairs into a large, somewhat gloomy and untidy room, where, besides a piano, there was nothing to indicate that its occupant was a musician. Instead, a huge bookcase and writing table gave the room a somewhat scholarly air. "What a lot of books you have," I said appreciatively. "Part of them belongs to the library of my father, with whom I live." "Yes, young man, I live with my father and mother, but I cannot introduce you to them, as I and my acquaintances meet with but scant respect at home. I am a prodigal son, you see. My father is very much looked up to. He is a well-known clergyman and preacher in this town, and I, to let you know at once, am his talented and promising son, who, however, is guilty of many backslidings, and to a certain extent mad. I was studying theology, and deserted this worthy faculty shortly before my final examination, although really I am still in the same line. As far as concerns my private studies, right, I gotta, like, slow down. Sorry. It's just, like, it is easier for me to, like, read faster. And also, these paragraphs are, like, chunky. Okay. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Excel. Okay. I really am still in the same line as far as concerns my private studies. For me, it is still of the highest importance and interest what sort of gods people have invented for themselves at various times. I am a musician into the bargain, and shall soon get a post as organist, I think. Then I shall be in the church again. I glanced over the backs of the books and found Greek, Latin, Hebrew titles, as far as I could see by the feeble light of the lamp on the table. My acquaintance, meanwhile, had taken up a position on the floor in the dark by the wall. Malkuth ASMR. Is this gonna break my writer's block, or it's just Malkuth? Come here, he called after a while. We will practice a little philosophy. That means keeping one's mouth shut, lying on one's stomach and thinking. He struck a match and applied it to the paper and wood in the fireplace, in front of which he was lying. The flame leapt up. He poked and blew the fire with great skill. I lay down near him on the ragged carpet. He stared into the flames, which drew my attention as well, and we lay silent for perhaps a whole hour stretched out in front of the flaring wood fire. We watched it flame and roar, die down and flicker up again, until finally it settled down into a subdued glow. Fire worship was not by any means the silliest form of worship invented, he murmured without looking up. Those were the only words spoken. With staring eyes, I gazed into the fire. Lulled by the tranquility of the room, I sank in dreams, seeing shapes in the smoke and pictures in the ashes. Once I started up. Whoopsie, that was a whole sentence on its own. My companion had thrown a little bit of resin into the glow. A little slender flame shot up. I saw it in the bird with the gold hawk's head. In the glow which died away in the fireplace, golden glittering threads wove themselves together into a net. Letters and pictures, memories of faces, of animals, of plants, of worms and serpents. Oh my god. Okay. Calming down. I don't know, today I'm just like off my game for some reason. When I woke from my reveries and looked across at my companion, he was absorbed, staring at the ashes with the fixed gaze of a fanatic, his chin in his hands. I must go now, I said softly. Well, go then. Goodbye. He did not get up. Must be from all the lag. Maybe, because maybe the lag applies not only to the stream, but to my head today. Although I do kind of like lag mentally quite a bit, but that's besides the point. No, it is with the point. But you guys get what I mean. Teehee. He did not get up, and as the lamp had gone out, I had to feel my way across the dark room, through dark corridors and down the stairs, and so out of the enchanted old dwelling. Once in the street, I stopped and looked up at the house. In not one of the windows was a light burning. A little brass plate shone in the gleam of the gas lamp before the door. Pistorius Vicar, I read thereon. As I sat in my little room after supper, I remembered that I had learned nothing about Abraxas or anything else from Pistorius. We had scarcely exchanged 10 words. But I was quite contented with the visit I had paid him, and he had promised to play next time an exquisite piece of organ music, a Passacaglia by Buxtehude. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Without my having realized it, the organist Pistorius had given me a first lesson as we lay on the floor in front of the fireplace of his melancholy hermit's room. Staring into the fire had done me good. It had confirmed and set in activity tendencies which I had always had, but had never really followed. Gradually and in part, I saw light on the subject. When quite a child, I had, from time to time, the propensity to watch bizarre forms of nature. Not observing them closely, but simply surrendering myself to their peculiar magic, absorbed by the contemplation of their curling shapes. Long, dignified tree roots, colored veins in stone, flecks of oil floating on water, flaws in glass, all things of a similar nature that had great charm for me at that time, above all, water and fire, smoke, clouds, dust, and especially the little circulating colored specks which I saw when I closed my eyes. In the days following my first visit to Pistorius, this began to come back to me. I noticed that I was indebted solely to staring into the open fire for certain strength and pleasure, for the increase in my depth of feeling which I had felt since. It was curiously beneficial and enriching, dreaming and staring into the fire. To the few experience I had gained on the road to the attainment of my proper ends in life was added to this new one, the contemplation of such shapes. The surrendering of oneself to those irrational, twisting, odd forms of nature engenders in us the feeling of the harmony of our inner being with the will which brought forth these shapes. We soon feel the temptation to look upon them as our own creations, as if made by our own moods. We see the boundary between ourselves and nature waver and vanish. We learn to know the state of mind by outside impressions or by inward. In no way so simply and so easily as by this practice do we discover to what a great extent we are creators, to what a great extent our souls have a part in the continual creation of the world. Or rather, it is the same indivisible Godhead, which is active in us and in nature. If the outside world fell in ruins, one of us would be capable of building it up again, from mountain and stream, tree and leaf, root and blossom. All that is shaped by nature lies modeled in us, comes from the soul, whose essence is eternity, of whose essence we are ignorant, but which is revealed to us for the most part as love, force, and creative power. Many years later, I found this observation confirmed in a book, one of Leonardo da Vinci's, who in one... Da Vinci? Sorry. I had to. I can only imagine Sinclair going on and on as Damien smiled at his boyfriend, watching him go on and on about what he's passionate about. Damien being like, oh my god, you're finally getting it, Sinclair. I'm so proud of you. I don't know. Maybe that is what happens because, like, again, this is chapter 5 is where Da Vinci? Da Vinci? Sorry. I love the Da Vinci twins a lot. They're really good. But where was I? Yeah. I don't know. I feel like that is very much what's going to happen. Just because, like, I haven't finished the book myself. Although I did read up to this point last time I did, like, read the book. I think I read up to this point in one sitting, and then just completely dropped the book for some reason. So there's that. That's my experience with Damien before streaming the book. But from what I've heard, that's very well what's going to happen. Who in one passage remarks how good and deeply moving it is to look at a wall on which many people have spat. He felt the same sensation before those spots on the wet wall as Pistorius and I before the fire. At our next meeting, the organist enlightened me still further on the subject. Let's see, page 135, how far are we from the end? Quite close, actually. We confine our personality within much too narrow bounds. We count as composing our person only that which distinguishes us as individuals, only that which we recognize as irregular. But we are made up from the entire world stock, each one of us, and just as in our bodies displayed the genealogical table of development back to the fish stage and still further, so we have accumulated in our souls all the experiences through which a human soul has ever lived. All the gods and devils which have ever been, whether those of the Greeks or Chinese or Zulus, all are in us, and there as potentialities, as desires, as starting points. If all mankind died out, with the exception of a single moderately gifted child who had not enjoyed the slightest instruction, so would this child rediscover the whole process of things. It would be able to produce gods, demons, paradises, the commandments and prohibitions, Old and New Testaments, everything. Well and good, I objected, but then what is the worth of the individual oh my god, why did I say it like that? I went individual. Okay, but then what does the worth of the individual consist of? Why do we continue to strive if everything has already been achieved in us? Stop, exclaimed Pistorius vehemently. There is a great difference between whether one merely carries the world in oneself, or whether one is conscious of that as well. A madman can have ideas which remind potentiality? Maybe. I think that's what they're going to get to right now. A madman can have ideas which remind one of Plato, and a pious little boy at a Moravian boarding school will recreate in his thought profound mythological ideas which recur in the Gnostics or in Zoroaster. But he does not realize it. He is a tree or a stone, at best an animal, as long as he does not know it. But when the first spark of this knowledge glimmers in him, he becomes a man. You will not consider all the two-legged creatures who walk out there in the street as human beings, simply because they walk erect and carry their young 9 months in the womb. Look how many of them are fish or sheep, worms or leeches, how many are ants or bees. Well, in reach of them are the possibilities of becoming human creatures, but only when they feel that. It is only when, if even in part, they learn to make them conscious, that these potentialities become theirs. Yeah. Our conversations were somewhat after this style. They seldom taught me anything completely new, anything absolutely surprising, but all, even the most banal, I never learned how to say that word properly. banal, hit like a light, persistent hammer stroke on the same point in me. All helped in my development. All helped to peel off skins, to break up eggshells, and after each talk I held my head somewhat higher. I was more sure of myself until my yellow bird pushed his beautiful bird of prey crest through the ruins of the world shell. Okay. We're almost done, guys. Oh my god. Banal. Okay. There we go. Banal. Yay. We frequently related our dreams to one another. That's how it's said. It's a French word. I see. That makes sense. Pistorius knew how to interpret them. A curious example comes to mind. I dreamed I was able to fly. I was flung through the air, so to speak, impelled by a great force over which I had not the mastery. The sensation of this flight was exhilarating, but soon changed to fear as I saw myself snatched up involuntarily to risky heights. There I made the saving discovery that I could control my rise and fall by arresting my breath and breathing again. Pistorius interpreted it as follows: the swing, which sends you up into the air, is the great property of mankind which everyone possesses. It is the feeling of close relationship with the springs of every force, but it soon causes anxiety. It is cursedly dangerous. For that reason, most people willingly renounce flying, preferring to walk according to prescribed laws along the footpath. But not you. You fly higher, as befits an intelligent fellow. And behold, you make a wonderful discovery there. Namely, you gradually get the mastery over the impelling force. In other words, you acquire a little fine force of your own, an encouragement, a rudder. That is splendid. But without that, one goes floating into the air without any will of one's own. Madmen, for instance, do that. They have deeper presentiments than the people on the footpath, but they have no key and no rudder. They fall whistlingly through the air, down into the fathomless depths. But you, Sinclair, you manage all right. And how, pray? You probably don't even know. You manage with a new instrument, with a breath regulator. And now you can see that. Your soul isn't really personal at bottom. I mean that you didn't invent this regulator. It isn't new. It is alone. It has existed for thousands of years. It is the balancing organ fish have. It is the balancing organ fish have, the air bladder. Even today, we actually still have I have a few very rare kinds of fish whose air bladder is at the same time a sort of lung, and on occasion can use it to breathe with. In your dream, you made use of your lungs in exactly the same way as these fish do their air bladder. He even brought me a volume on zoology, and showed me the original drawings of these ancient fish. With a peculiar thrill, I felt an organ of early evolutionary epochs functioning in me. Floating like, Damien, oh my god, no way. Okay, today's stream was like painful to get through. I'm not gonna lie. I'm so sorry. Usually, I stumble over my words, but not to this extent. So, that was kind of like awkward. And it did take a little bit longer today, but Sinclair become fish. God, David is showing Sinclair's zoology special interest. Actually, it's Pistorius. I checked the backlog when it lagged. It kind of just cuts. No! Oh yeah, because it's OBS disconnecting and like reconnecting to the YouTube stream. Damien's not mysterious, he's just an info dumper. Damien's gonna like meet Sinclair, and Sinclair's gonna start talking about fish, and he's gonna be like, what the hell is going on, Sinclair? I thought we were talking about birds last time. What do you mean you're talking about fish now? Yeah, it's legit an autism rant. It's just like special interest in zoology and philosophy, and somehow you mix them together, and somehow it turns into this Abraxas worship. It all makes sense. Yeah, somehow it does. Yeah. Good job, guys. We somehow made it through this painful stream. Dante, draw me a sheep. Anyone got any Damien Sinclair fic they can recommend? I haven't read. If you're talking about the legitimate book, I know there are like 3 fanfictions that exist of the book, on AO3. There might be more, there might be less, but I distinctly remember reading 3. You can like look it up for yourself. Like Damien fanfiction. Then again, it might have been drowned out by all the Limbus fanfiction. Oh no, I meant of Limbus. I figured you meant of Limbus, but just in case you were genuinely thinking about, what's it called? Just in case you were genuinely thinking about looking up fanfiction of, the book, it does exist, and I have read it before. It was pretty good, actually. But if you're talking about just Limbus, I haven't read one in a while. I remember one of like that headcanon Sinclair as like a heavy drinker. Jacob wrestles with God. It's like some biblical thing. By the way, if the frequency of my Project Moon jokes are too much, you can tell me. I know it might get a little annoying sometimes. It's cool as long as it's not like, if I'm talking about something that isn't like Project Moon, like if I'm talking about Mahoyaku and like you guys make like Project Moon jokes, then I might get like a little like irate, just because like that is a completely different series. So yeah, but like, yeah, in this case we are reading this book because of Limbus Company. Like I literally put Emile Sinclair Limbus Company on the thumbnails, and he's literally like sitting in front of me. Like I can move him around. Hold on, where is he? Like I can move him around. Like ooh, he's attacking you guys. Oh, okay. Okay, sorry. Yeah. Alfred and I am not in a stream PM related. Thank you. Yeah, but like, he does 0 damage. He has no right, man. True. Okay. This was a stream. This was a painful stream, but it's a stream that we got through nonetheless. Good job, guys. I said that like 5 times already. Hopefully you guys got something from this stream. Even if it was just Sinclair's a little freak. Yeah, I forgot. You know who else likes animals? Who? Who do I dare ask? Who? I'm sorry, I'm like staring at my mouth tracking again. It's like not... It's weird because it'll randomly lock in, but most of the time it just stays in like this position. Where I just have it open like this. I gotta like enunciate my things. Shoma Ginzaki from Hit Game, the 100 line. Oh my gosh! Of Sinclair Battle Sprite, but it's Damon's Story Sprite. But it's Damon's Battle Sprite with Damon's Story. That would be such a jump scare. By the way, your YouTube schedule is a month late. It is? Is it actually? Oh shoot! Because it's I should put that. I should like adjust that, huh? Is this what we're doing right now? It could be. I guess I could do it like later, but I'll do it after stream. There, I can cash in my paycheck now. I will. Maybe today is the day that I play the demo, or maybe I just like do a random impromptu stream on one of the days that we don't have scheduled, and that's when we do the 100 line last defense demo. Who knows? Or I don't know. I kind of feel like doing it on my own, so I might end up doing it on my own, and I'll see what happens during the Sims 4 stream. Yeah. I do have time between this stream and the next stream, so in theory I could get it done like tomorrow or today. Bounce back at the stream first say Jacob wrestles God. Yeah, I don't know, it's some biblical thing. I don't know anything about the Bible. I don't know anything about the Bible, so I'm just gonna assume that something funky and biblical happens. The thing is, again, I don't know anything about the Bible, but I do know Far Cry 5, which has which takes things from the Bible. I do know Far Cry 5, so I just imagine this muscly like ginger guy fighting with like Jesus, which I know that's not like how that's a Far Cry. I know. I know that's not a Far Cry 5. I heard that I would be able to fully appreciate Catholic yaoi. I heard that things go on in there. It's called Jacob's Ladder. Climate. Why not? Why climate? So I can be like Sinclair and go all crazy over music and like who knows what else, and birds and fish. I can't believe we got to talking about biblical yaoi. How did we get here? Genuinely asking. It's because we were talking about Far Cry 5, that's why. The disappointment is immeasurable and I've never read the Bible. Bible yaoi? How did we get here? This is why I don't practice any religion. Because how can I look like actual like religious enforcers in the eyes and after talking about stuff like this? I don't know if people knew about Judas Iscariot. Bible yaoi kisser. Oh my god. How did we get here? You see the copy paste of the sinners that people write, where they write like obsessive paragraphs? Or the characters in general, where they like obsessive no? Yes? Question mark? It's just roasting old people for like 5 to 6 of the book. I don't know how we got here. I don't even know what we're talking about at this point. The Bible is yaoi? Question mark? Does this mean I have to read the Bible? My brain is confused, guys. Sorry. It is too early in the morning for this, I say, as if I don't willingly do this every single, like, day of my life. Whoopsie daisy. Yeah. If anything, there isn't enough yaoi in the Bible. Oh! Nice to know. Depends on your interpretation of John. John? Like Far Cry 5? Anything is yaoi with the correct lands. True. How lazy looking. No hate. It's fine. I know. I do look like that. Anyways, strange discussion aside. I know this because my coworker ships her boyfriend with his best friend. Anything is yaoi, just like anything is yuri. Like this can, this half drinking soda can and this water bottle on my table, it can be yuri. It can be yuri, you know? Me and Reginald, that's yaoi. Yaoi is a mindset, and yuri is also a mindset. I mean, like this copy paste were like, oh Ishmael, how I'd love to. And they read about that character and what they like about them. It's kind of weird. Hippie to Renato Norcross. It's along another great classic along the lines of another great classic of literature along the likes of Damien, Hellscreen, and Parkour Civilization, the Bible. Oh man. What's your favorite ship of all time? How would you feel if I said it wasn't even Sinclair and Damien, but it was like, it was Sinclair and Yisong. Just kidding, not of all time. Guys, don't spoil the Bible. You know, my favorite ship is the USS Indianapolis. The USS Saratoga, the USS Iowa, actually. By the way, you guys, if you guys ever go to like warship museums, they're actually pretty cool. You guys should like go to them. They're pretty fun to go into. That's besides the point, but they're nice. Verdante is good. I'm personally more of a Heath Dante sort of person, but Verdante is also really good. Anyways, I don't know what else to say. Yawn intermission. Wait, if I yawn, does it do my other like mouth tracking? Kind of. I tried really hard to make it. I had to like extend my mouth to make it do like that one. Like that. You can read Dante's Inferno. I could after this one, but I think the language might confuse me even more. Like if I'm stumbling over my words reading 1900s literature, imagine me stumbling over my words with like poetry. Virgilius dies and Heathcliff gets a red gaze ID. We both win. Hell yeah. Is it really winning if Virgil dies? The amount of media that uses Dante's Inferno is nuts. There's like I've seen multiple like pizza places, not multiple. I think I've seen at least one that uses like actually no, I've seen I have seen multiple because I swear there's that use like Dante's Inferno as like their motif for being a pizza place, which is kind of funny. I'm not an ish down person. I just love normal girl and autistic girl. Me, I'm like that, but with like ish Faust. Yoshu and Honglu's and Honglu's body coming home drunk and angry, pushing down Sinclair, and Heathcliff's body whimpering is my fantasy. Nice to know. This is how did we get here? We're just talking about ships now. How did we get here? Would this be a good time to end? Because this is ship discussion. I'm just confused at any given moment, you guys. Maybe I just need to go back to sleep. Maybe that's it. Yeah, I think, we continue further. No. Yisong and his ideal self is the best ship. It's true. True. Like, Song Yisong is really good. Ideal toxic yaoi. True. Song Yisong, really good. I think in general, Yisong ships are just kind of always gonna be really peak, just because he is a peak character. So ideal. Very true. Like, have you guys seen that one comic? No. What is that one comic? Do we dare look at it? No wonder he was the head of the polycule. True, the Don Quixote Sinclair Yisong polycule, or did you mean the League of Nine? You probably meant the League of Nine, but I'm still thinking of Don Quixote Sinclair and Yisong. Where Heathcliff asked for his mirror. I can't remember if I asked you, but have you read The Summer You Were There? Yes. The Summer You Were There. I do in fact have read The Summer You Were There. I don't remember where I stopped at, but I remember I stopped at like, I haven't read like the full thing, but I have read like a few volumes. Yeah, it was a good Yuri. Ideal man being core unit for every team will never not be funny. And you see the sequel just sees you song you flirted with you song. I can't spoil. If I remember right, where I left off was, oh god, it was so long ago. It was like 2 years ago. So I guess I'll just have to reread it. Oh no, I have to reread the Summer You Were There. Whatever will I do? If I felt left out of the sinners, it turns out they're all dating Esau. That's good. It's so good. It is really good. I guess I'm just gonna have to reread it. Oh no. Yeah. I think this is a good time to end. And by good time, I mean, I don't want to extend this too far past the part where we actually read the book. Just so people can like look at the VODs later. They're gonna see me like die 10 million times. Summer You Were There reading stream? I would, but I don't want to get like copyright struck. Like the reason why I'm doing Damien is because like it is not, maybe on Irium or something. Question of the day, who is the 10th sinner? Isn't it Dante? Isn't it Dante? Like, right? You're from yaoi to yuri, but like, yeah, the reason why I'm doing Damien is because this version is like public domain. Correct. Yay! I got it right! This version is public domain, and, what's it called? Like, other versions are just kind of not. Like, Project Gutenberg is all public domain, in the US at least. So, it's, like, safe to stream and stuff, and I won't get copyright struck, but with things like, Summer You Were There, it's, like, it's been made, like, recently, like, not within the last 100 years. So I'm more iffy reading that on like stream, but I might do it on Irium or something. Yeah. Who knows? I do have my copy, but it's like not as fun if you can't see the pictures, you know? So who knows? You need to get permission. Yeah, but that's kind of like a bunch of stuff that I don't really feel like going through. No access to Irium. I know, I'm sorry guys. But I see Irium more as like extra fan service streams, I'm not gonna lie. Considering what I do on there, that it is extra fan service. I do stupid things on there. Like dox myself 10 times in a stream. Yeah, by the way guys, my address is, no, I'm not gonna say that out loud. Unless. It's impossible to get if you're not from USA. I know people have done it. I don't know how. Well, like, I imagine it's the same way people get it through, what's it called? I don't know. Like, the same way I got, like, all my JP games. I need to learn the ways. I heard that one of the streamers made, like, a tutorial, but it got taken down. I don't know if it got taken down. But apparently at some point there was a tutorial on how to, like, access it outside of the US, but I don't know how that works. I'm not a tech person, unless it comes to mixing, in which case I am. But that's besides the point. Right, we were going to end, but for like real this time. There we go, hovering over the ending button. Yeah, we finished a chapter. We finished chapter 5. It was painful. I've said this about 6 times already, but it's okay. And then we talked about yaoi and ships. The search for the One Piece continues. Yeah, you got this. I don't know anything about One Piece, but you got this, One Piece guy. There's many One Piece guys, but yeah. Let's see. Next stream is going to be on Twitch on Wednesday. It's going to be The Sims 4. You just saw the next chapter title, so you saw us talk about Jacob wrestling with God. You were just like, oh, okay. That's just a normal thing people talk about. Yeah. Woohoo. Streaming. Damien. He for real just thought we were just talking. I was confused. Maybe I should like... By the way guys, next chapter is called Jacob Wrestles with God for anyone who is confused. Yep, he's wrestling with God, apparently. Yeah, okay. For real. Next stream is The Sims 4 on Twitch, and that's gonna be on Wednesday. And then the next stream after that, the next YouTube stream is gonna be Thursday, and it's gonna be more Limbus Company. Yay! Okay, and that's gonna be that. This is gonna be this. Ha ha ha. Bad joke. I'm gonna end, but for real this time. Okay. See you guys. Wednesday. Yeah. Sorry if I was like really off. I was kind of. I'm eepy. I'm gonna go eep now. You guys have a good day. I will be gone. 3, 2, 1. Bye.